Shakespeare's First Folio, A Midsummer Night's Dream. Sources, Summary and Synopsis. The course of true love never did run smooth. Hello and welcome to the discourse. In the previous video, we discussed the love tragedy of Romeo and Juliet, one of the most popular dramas by Shakespeare. We mentioned that the original story was Italian folklore. In fact, Shakespeare was inspired by Christopher Marlowe's tragic love stories like Dido, the Queen of Carthage, and Hero and Leander. And after completing his most bloody tragedy, Titus Andronicus, he wrote that popular romantic tragedy Romeo and Juliet, which was inspired by one of Ovid's stories from Metamorphoses, titled Erasmus and Thisbe. His next play was A Midsummer Night's Dream, and it was a perfect comedy. Shakespeare had taken a break from his stream of tragedy plays. A Midsummer Night's Dream was first staged in late 1595 or early 1596. While it is considered one of the finest comedies by Shakespeare, but just like his previous comedy, Comedy of Errors, the plot of this comedy is also very intriguing and confusing. The play was published in 1600 in Shakespeare's quarto edition, and again it was published in 1623 in the First Folio, Mr. William Shakespeare's Comedies, Histories and Tragedies. The play seems to be a light-hearted comedy. However, it was very deep, psychological, multi-layered examination of love and its vagaries. We will discuss the themes and messages within the play, but before that, let us check the characters and summary of A Midsummer Night's Dream. Characters. The characters of this play can be divided in three groups. The first group of characters is that of Athenians, which include Theseus, the king of Athens, who is going to marry Hippolyta, the Amazon queen. Philostrate is the master of revels at the Theseus's court with the responsibility of entertainment of his king, and Aegeus, a courtier. Now Hernia is the daughter of Aegeus, who loves Lysander, and Lysander also loves Hernia. Hernia's friend Helena loves Demetrius and wants to marry her, but Demetrius wants to marry Hernia and he is supported by her father Aegeus. So the group of Athenians include Theseus, Hippolyta, Hernia and Lysander, the love couple. Demetrius, who wants Hernia, and Helena, who wants to marry Demetrius. The other group of characters is that of magical people, fairies, which include Oberon, king of fairies, his queen Titania, an Indian changeling or slave who is a ward of Titania, and Robin Goodfellow, also termed as Puck, a mischievous, jovial, light-hearted sprite with magical powers. There are some more minor fairy characters who are servants of Oberon and Titania. The third group is also that of Athenians, but these are workers who have been appointed by Philostrate to the master of revels to practice for an entertaining drama to be played for the celebrations of the marriage of King Theseus with Hippolyta. This third group is termed the Mechanicals because these are not actual actors but mechanics at the court who plan to stage a drama. Erasmus and Thisbe. The drama is Erasmus and Thisbe for celebrations of the marriage. Philostrate opposes their proposal, but King Theseus supports them and asks them to rehearse and present the drama on the wedding night. This group includes Peter Quint, who is a carpenter and the leader of the Mechanicals. The other person is Nick Bottom, a weaver and an over-enthusiastic performer who wants to play every part of the play by himself. Francis Flute is another character. He is a bellows mender. Tom Snout, a tinker, Robin Starveling, a tailor, and other mechanicals are minor characters. Now let us discuss the summary. The play is completed in 5 interconnected acts and we will discuss each act. So let us discuss Act 1. King Theseus is preparing for his marriage with Amazon Queen Hippolyta. He is intervened by a courtier Aegeus who wants the king to solve a dispute with her daughter Hernia. Aegeus wants Hernia to marry Demetrius, but Hernia loves Lysander, whom Aegeus doesn't approve. So he asks Theseus to advise Hernia to marry Demetrius. King Theseus asks Hernia to be obedient to her father and marry Demetrius. He also offers her another option. If she doesn't want to marry Demetrius, then she should lead her life as a celibate nun in goddess Diana's temple. Hermia is upset with this ruling of Theseus, so she devises a plan of eloping with Lysander. However, she shares this secret with her friend Helena. Helena loves Demetrius, but Demetrius has abandoned her in favor of Hermia. Helena thinks that if she shared the plan of Hermia to elope, she may win Demetrius again. At night, Hermia runs away with Demetrius, but they lose the path and are now wandering in the woods. Demetrius, having been informed by Helena about the Hermia's plan, decides to search for Hermia and Lysander and bring her back. Helena gets upset. Helena thinks that Demetrius may ultimately understand that Hermia loves Lysander and will let them together, and he will accept her. But when Demetrius goes behind Hermia to search for her, she also follows him. In the woods, there is the group of mechanicals rehearsing for the play Erasmus and Thisbe, to be performed for the marriage of the king. Now this play is very specific. It is one of the major sources of Shakespeare's previous play Romeo and Juliet. Shakespeare often took inspirations from older stories and plays for his own play, and he was open about it. Peter Quint decides that Nick Bottom will play the role of Erasmus because no other can play that part. Bottom is over-enthusiastic and he wants to act every part, trying to impress all others with his acting skills or lack of it. Flute, the bellows mender, is given the part of Thisbe and he is not happy about it. Now let us discuss Act 2. Act 2 belongs to the fairies. Oberon, the king, has arrived in the woods for entertainment. However, he is very upset with Titania, his queen. Titania has acquired a magical Indian boy from one of her servants. Oberon is impressed by that boy and he asks Titania to give that boy to him and he will make him his page boy. But Titania says no to him and decides to keep the Indian boy for herself. Oberon decides to teach a lesson to Titania for her disobedience. He summons his magical slave sprite Puck, Robin Goodfellow, and asks him to bring the juice of magical purple flower, whose juice makes people fall in love with the next creature they confront. Puck goes in search of those flowers. Meanwhile, Oberon overhears Demetrius and Helena's squabble while roaming in the woods. Helena tells Demetrius that he should let Hermia and Lysander together and should marry her as she loves him. But Demetrius rejects her and says that he will marry Hermia at any cost. When Puck returns with that magical juice, Oberon tells him to use that juice on the Athenian, that is Demetrius, so that he may fall in love with Helena. Puck hasn't seen Demetrius or Lysander and they appear so similar that he mistakenly puts the juice on the eyes of Lysander, who is sleeping. After some time, Helena awakes Lysander up and he soon madly falls in love with her. On the other hand, Puck realizes his mistake, so when he sees Demetrius resting, he puts the magic juice on his eyes too. When Helena gets rid of Lysander's cajoling and runs away to reach Demetrius, she awakes him and he also falls deeply in love with Helena. So now, Demetrius and Lysander both are in love with Helena. On the other hand, at the end of Act 1, both of them wanted Hermia. Now let us discuss Act 3. Act 3 starts with the mechanicals. Oberon have a plan to take that Indian boy away from Titania. He wants Titania to madly fall in love with a strange creature so that he could humiliate her and force her to give the Indian boy to him. The mechanicals are rehearsing in the woods and Puck overhears them. He conspires a deceiving plan. First he plays a trick on them and changes Bottom's head with that of an ass. Not that ass but donkey. All others get frightened and run away. On the other hand, Titania is sleeping and Puck puts some juices on her eyes. Then he lures Bottom, that is the ass-man, towards Titania. When the fairy queen wakes up, she sees Bottom, an awkward man with a donkey's head. She immediately falls in love with that ass-man. At the same time, Demetrius and Lysander both are now pursuing Helena, and Hermia is confused and angry for the lack of attention from Lysander. She blames Helena for stealing her love and they fight. Oberon overhears them again and he feels disturbed with the situation. He asks Puck to put the things right again. The four arguing lovers are very tired. Puck tricks Demetrius and Lysander to wander in different directions by impersonating their voices. After some time, all the four, being very tired, falls asleep. Then Puck puts restorative juice on the eyes of Lysander. Only on the eyes of Lysander. Now we will discuss Act 4. In the Act 4, Nick Bottom is being pampered and entertained by Titania and her servant fairies as the Assman. After some time, the Assman falls asleep. Oberon asks Titania what a disgusting creature she is in love with, but she defends Bottom. After some time, she also falls asleep and then Puck puts some restorative juice on her eyes. Then Oberon wakes her up. After waking up, she is again in love with Oberon, and when she sees Bottom sleeping nearby, she is disgusted by that creature. Oberon ridicules her that she was in love with that Assman. Finally, they reconcile and Titania agrees to give the Indian boy to Oberon. Puck again do some magic and Bottom's own head is back. He runs away to the city to join his colleagues to act in the play. In the woods, the four lovers are woken up by Theseus and Hippolyta. Lysander sees Hermia and he is in love with her again, while Demetrius is now deeply in love with Helena. The last act is Act 5. On seeing that the dispute between the lovers has been solved, Theseus and Hippolyta ask them to join their wedding night. All the three couples get married, and to celebrate their marriage, the mechanicals perform Pyrasmus and Thisbe. Their act is so awkward and immature that this great tragedy also appears extremely funny and parody, and all the viewers enjoy it extremely, laughing and merrymaking. They all fall asleep, and then Oberon and Titania visits their palace and bless them with forever lasting love. At the end, Puck offers the closing dialogue and asks the viewers that the play itself might be just a magical dream. Shakespeare was known to use older sources for the plot of his dramas. However, it is difficult to pinpoint any definite source for this of Shakespeare's play. It can be said that A Midsummer Night's Dream is the original play of Shakespeare. In any case, the names of the characters used by Shakespeare for this play were inspired by Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales. The elements of his drama were also inspired by Spenser's Epithalamion and Ovid's Metamorphoses, along with the Knight's Tale of the Canterbury Tales of Geoffrey Chaucer. Shakespeare intentionally chose Pyrasmus and Thisbe as the play to be played by the characters within this play. Firstly, he was ready to admit his inspiration for his previous successful play Romeo and Juliet. Secondly, the play Pyrasmus and Thisbe offers a contrast between these two plays, Romeo and Juliet and A Midsummer Night's Dream. Just like Hermia and Lysander, Romeo and Juliet were also not able to be with each other because of the father of female lead. Also, Romeo and Juliet also involved a plan of eloping. However, Romeo and Juliet ended as an extremely sorrowful tragedy. This play ended in other way. Lysander and Hermia entertained themselves at that hilarious act of Pyrasmus and Thisbe by the mechanicals, completely unaware of the fact that they might also have faced a tragic end. So this was all about A Midsummer Night's Dream. We will continue our discussion on Shakespearean drama. Please be in touch with the discourse. Thanks and regards.